One, two, one, two, one, two. Sure did.
Recording in progress.
All right, let's call to order the public meeting of the Tredyffrin Township Board of Supervisors for December 15, 2025. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call to order the public hearing for H.R. 493. This is a public hearing to consider and possibly adopt ordinance H.R. 493 to approve the Tredyffrin Township final budget for the fiscal year 2026. Mr. McKenna and then Mr. Duraco.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've marked the following exhibits for the hearing this evening. Exhibit B1 is the proof of publication of the ordinance from the Daily Local News on December 1st, 2025. Exhibit B2 is the proof of publication of the notice in the Mainline Times Suburban, dated November 27th, 2025. Exhibit B3 is a copy of the email distribution list to those who wish to receive public hearing notifications, which was sent on November 20th, 2025. Exhibit B4 is a copy of the 2026 final budget, and Exhibit B5 is a copy of the ordinance under consideration this evening. Those are the board exhibits for this hearing.
Thank you. Mr. Duraco?
I have nothing to add other than no changes since we advertised for the public hearing.
So moved.
You just need to put your microphone on, Mr. Miller.
I don't know what I said. Yeah, I don't know what I said. Okay. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions?
Hi there, good evening, Carol Clark. Just a couple quick questions. Oh, name, yes, Carol Clark. Clark has an E on the end, C-L-A-R-K-E, of Tredyffrin. I have a few quick questions about the budget. Could you again provide the tax implications for the residents in terms of percentage increase of 2026 over 2025? We have it in mills, frequently mentioned, but can you provide the numbers? They were last time. The total Tredyffrin tax increase, excluding the sewer fund, is going up
Yeah, I think we have provided that in the budget letter. We have it both in dollars and in percentages. So, Mr. Duraco, you want to pull it up?
And then I was going to ask for the general fund. Well, you're coming up with those numbers, Joe. Regarding the general fund budget, does that include the expenses associated with the new chief operating officer position that is later in the agenda?
Yes, it does.
It does include that. Okay, wanted to make sure about that. And then Stormwater Fund, there's no percentage increase for that. And for the, were you ready? You kind of glanced up, Joe. Okay,
Yeah, with
so
respect to
total
stormwater,
for
we've
the total Tredyffrin increase is
3.78%.
3.78, okay. And the general fund was going up? Sorry about that. I was going to just send an email to Joe, but I wanted to make sure that it was clearly in the public. I'll jump ahead while he's doing that, and the Emergency Services Fund. does that include all of the expected additional costs if we go ahead and approve what you've been working on for the
Yes.
last time in the development of
Yes.
the... So that 1.5 for Berwyn, million that we have already in the budget for Berwyn should cover any additional expenses that we expect to be incurred this next year if we go through and start with the new commission and develop the TE fire department.
So the budget contemplates creating the TE Fire Commission. It doesn't, I mean, it's really hard to say generalize it covers anything that could possibly happen, because that's not true. But it does contemplate everything we know of that should happen next year, including creating the commission.
Okay, because my understanding of the new department, we're going to be assuming all the assets, et cetera, and the maintenance responsibilities, et cetera, for Berwyn Fire Department, that those are moving into our responsibilities
At some time.
at some time. And Joe, you're
So
usually...
general fund is 1.67%, and then fire is, what did we end up, just under 15%.
A little less than 15%. Okay. I can get exacts later, but that's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carol. Any other public comments or questions? All right, this is a roll call vote. Supervisor Humble?
Aye.
Supervisor Holt?
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie?
Aye.
Supervisor Wysocki?
Aye.
And Supervisor Bhaskar? I know, I have the same problem. Aye. And Supervisor Johnson Pugh?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. I'm going to adjourn the public hearing for HR 493 and call to order the public hearing for HR 494. This is a public hearing to consider and possibly adopt ordinance HR 494, fixing the rate of taxation for real estate in Tredyffrin Township at 2.811 mils for the general fund, 0.657 for the stormwater fund, and 0.845 for the fire and EMS fund for fiscal year 2026. Mr. McKenna?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have marked the following board exhibits for this hearing. Exhibit B1 is the proof of publication of the notice in the Daily Local News. It ran on November 24th and December 1st, 2025. Board Exhibit 2 is the proof of publication of the notice that ran in the Mainline Times Suburban on November 27th, 2025. Exhibit B3 is the copy of the email and distribution list to those who wish to receive public hearing notifications sent on November 20th, 2025. And Exhibit B4 is a copy of the ordinance under consideration this evening. Those are the board exhibits for your hearing.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna. Mr. Duraco?
Nothing to add other than this is a required part of our charter.
Yeah, no, thank you. And this is, so do I hear a motion to adopt HR 494? Fixing the, second? Anybody?
Second.
Thank you. And just for the public, I mean, this is what that makes the budget effective into the tax rolls. That's what this is about. Any board comments or questions?
Yes, Supervisor Miller, but thank you. So I just wanted to make a comment for the public. This township has what I would consider to be a cockamamie way of raising funds for our budget. So I support the budget, but not the way we raise our funds. So basically, I don't know if the residents realize it, but the residents of this township are actually subsidizing the residents of other townships in the area. We're paying a higher rate of taxes, and as a result of paying a higher rate of taxes, this actually means that residents in other townships are paying less than they could be paying for the benefits of living and working in Tredyffrin Township. So we have residents that, we have residents that live in other townships and work in Tredyffrin. They don't pay any earned income tax to Tredyffrin Township. We have residents who live in Tredyffrin Township that work in other townships, and then they pay money to the other townships, which none of that comes back to Tredyffrin. So we, as residents of Tredyffrin, are actually subsidizing residents in other townships. This is, if we were to implement an EIT, a majority of the residents of the township would not pay any additional tax. A minority would. So I'd like to be on record for making the statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhaskar. I would suggest we have a debate about this sometime early next year, if that's what you want to have.
Yeah, we will,
Yeah.
because the issue is not going away.
Okay, let's have the debate when we have all the facts in front of us. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public? This is also a roll call vote. Supervisor Humble?
Aye.
Supervisor Holt?
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie?
Aye.
Supervisor Wysocki?
Aye.
Supervisor Bhaskar?
No,
Supervisor Johnston Pugh?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The motion carries. This adjourns the public hearing for HR 494, and I want to call to order the public meeting with announcements. We'd like to thank the Park and Rec Coordinator, Colleen Capello, Darren Fitzgerald and the Public Works team, our fire companies, and our police department for their work on our 4th annual tree lighting on December 6th. I heard it was a very big success. In observance of the holidays, the following schedule will be in place. Wednesday, December 24th, the offices will be closed at noon. Thursday and Friday, December 25th and 26th, the offices are closed. Wednesday, December 31st, the office closes at noon. And Thursday and Friday, January 1st and 2nd, 2026, the offices will be closed. The 2026 organizational meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 5th at 2026 at 7 p.m. here. Now we go to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the
So
December?
moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions on the minutes? Public comments or questions on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Thank you, Carlotta. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss legal matters. Now we have supervisor liaison reports. Supervisor Humble.
Parks and Rec Board did not meet this month, and traditionally does not meet in December. For the November zoning meeting, I was not present, but Supervisor Miller was gracious enough to cover that meeting, so.
And I do not have my notes.
Okay. Well, yeah, thank you. I guess we can update next time. And again, I want to echo my thanks to everybody in Parks and Rec and Darren Fitzgerald and Public Works and the fire companies and the police department for the tree lighting. This is the first one that I've missed since they began. I'm sorry for that. I was out of town. So thank you, as always.
Thank you, and sorry about forgetting my notes. Supervisor Holt?
Thank you. I attended the November 20th board meeting for the Tredyffrin and Paoli Libraries Board, and I'd like to make an announcement that there are 2 open foundation board openings right now for the township. The Friends of Paoli are looking for volunteers and members. The Museum Pass program continues to expand and see very good attendance, and I can personally attest to the fact that it's a wonderful program. We've used lots of those museums. The Part T was a great success, raised significant funds, very well attended. I think the increase was something around 30-40% from the year previous. Lots of families having lots of fun, and I think we'll continue it on for another year.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
The budget was reviewed and approved for next year, and discussion was had about the possibility of purchasing the Ace Hardware store building in Paoli and making it a possible alternative for a Paoli library, which is very exciting. The board members were excited to talk about it, discuss about it, and more to come in 2026 on developments in the library. So there you have it. Thank you so much.
Supervisor Gussie?
The Historical Commission met last week. They continue their work planning for America 250 with a lot of exciting ideas in the works. They're also working with Jenkins Arboretum on naming a currently unnamed creek in the township. They have put together some very interesting historical context for the creek, and I think they're heading in a great direction, but I don't want to spill any beans yet. I expect this will be coming to us in the coming months. And finally, we should expect a lot of action in 2026 around our historical ordinance, really working towards gathering public input, so we can look forward to an exciting year ahead in terms of the Historical Commission.
Thank you, Supervisor Gussie. Supervisor
I have a
Wysocki.
question. Where is the unnamed creek?
It goes through Jenkins Arboretum and then behind Devon 50 and kind of so,
I thought that was a Trout Creek tributary already named.
so it's a tributary of Trout Creek, is that
Yeah.
correct? Yes, okay, yeah.
Okay, the pension trustees met on December 4th for their quarterly review of the police pension fund, the 457 plan for non-uniform employees, and the OPEB trust. After examining third quarter and other performance information, as well as current economic and market conditions, the trustees concluded that no significant changes in investment strategy were currently needed. The next meeting of the pension trustees is on February 11, 2026.
Thank you, Supervisor Wysocki. Supervisor Bhaskar.
Thank you, Chair Miller. So first, I would like to thank Supervisor Holt for filling in for me at the Library Board of Trustees meeting. Thank you. So the Environmental Advisory Council met on Tuesday, December 2nd. Winnie Shaw Hope was voted to be an associate member, and I would like to encourage any of the residents who are interested in the EAC to join as an associate member. So when there is an opening in the EAC, the associate members are a pool of motivated, involved residents, any one of whom can now step into the role of member. And moving on, Jennifer Cox is stepping down as an EAC member at the beginning of next year. She intends to continue as an associate member. So the EAC thanked her for her many years of service to the EAC. And then Trevor Freifogel of the Penn Resources Council made a virtual presentation on the traveling glass bins. So evidently a significant percentage of the glass in mixed stream recycling ends up as trash and goes into landfills, and it's not recycled. So the PRC has a program where they basically will provide a bin, and residents can drop off glass, and from there it goes directly to glass recycling facilities. And there is a free pilot program, and after that, when they haul each container, it's like a $400 cost to haul the container. So this is just an informational presentation. I'm sure the EAC will be discussing that in 2026 and probably bring it to the supervisors if they decide to move on. Then EAC members also at that meeting, at the end of every year, they submit their goals for the next year. And so some of the things that were brought up were adding a skip the stuff option to the single-use plastic ordinance, which is basically when you get, go to a restaurant for takeout, they'll basically ask you whether you want soy sauce rather than just giving you the soy sauce and other condiments automatically. There was exploring an ordinance on limiting noisy two-stroke cycle in lawn equipment, revisiting the issue of a single hauler for the township, and I know that otherwise we have had issues with residents saying that they weren't getting garbage service. Having the township better tackle invasive species, better volunteer management of volunteers for the EAC, enhancing the EAC's social media presence, and mapping special trees, because we do have a large number of heritage trees in the township that could be mapped. By the way, my own pet peeve, I'm just a liaison to the EAC, but my pet peeve is that our woodland conservation ordinance has enough holes to drive a truck through. It really needs to be strengthened. And the EAC also discussed plans for the Martin Luther King Day of Service on January 19, 2026. The next meeting of the EAC will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, January 27th in the community room. Thank you, Chair Miller.
Thank you, Supervisor Bhaskar. Supervisor Johnston Pugh.
No reports at this time.
Thank you. That concludes liaison reports. Do I hear a motion? Motion to approve appointment of the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and public. It's my pleasure tonight to request authorization to appoint Dean J. Dartone as our Chief Operating Officer. He comes to us after a few months of an interview process. We've been looking to help bolster support in the finance department and help us administratively. He has extensive financial and management background in the public and nonprofit sector. And an interesting fact, he actually started his career here many years ago, and when he first started in the public sector. So we're excited. He brings a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I think he'll be a great addition to our management team, and I'm looking forward to him working with us. Happy to answer any specific questions you might have.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martin. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? I mean, I'll just say I had the opportunity to interview Dean, and I think he's a spectacular addition to our township, and I'm really excited to be able to vote to add somebody of his talents and abilities to our staff. It's a real testament to what we built as a township, that people like Dean are interested in working with us. So I just would add that. Any public comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Thank you. Charter Review Committee update, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and public. I'm excited tonight it's been a couple of months. I think the last time we did an update was in September, because we had the committee had wrapped up a lot of their internal work. We had a document to clean up on the staff level. On our website officially today, and probably I think it went up on Friday, is a timeline of events of where we're going next in the charter review and potential updates for the charter. So first, I want to thank a couple of people who really worked on this in this past year. We actually met December of last year to kick this off. First of all, the three board members, Carlotta Johnson Pugh, Chairman Miller, and Murph Wysocki, along with the staff, myself, Solicitor Patrick McKenna, Aaron McPherson, Joe DeRocco, and of course the citizen volunteers who are part of the committee, Janet Burton, Judy DiFilippo, Paul Drucker, Mark Freed, and George Elser. They did a lot of work on working through this document to change the language. A lot of the language is outdated, made some changes in terms of timing of some things. Really not a lot of major changes, just a few things here and there. And what we're going to do is go through a real public process for you to get public feedback to us and see where we've worked on things. Maybe we can tighten them up and get some more feedback. So I'm going to walk through the key upcoming dates that we have a timeline that's on the website. But the document is there for review, both clean and red line, as well as the required administrative code updates that would go with that. So over the next 2 months, it's out there for the public to review, and then if you can solicit feedback to us at Tredyffrin at tredyffrin.org. We'll get some feedback either digitally. You can certainly call us, let us know, but there'll be a number of opportunities to get your feedback. Starting, the first one will be our January 26th meeting, just a regular open discussion and feedback item on the regular agenda. So we have a month to kind of look at the document, and we'll solicit feedback at that point. Then in February, we're going to have a public workshop in afternoon and evening sessions. The committee is invited to discuss the charter and provide more feedback at that time. And once we get timing, we'll get the official times out there as well. It'll come back to the board in March of March 16th meeting for further public discussion and authorization for a public hearing, which that public hearing would take place, assuming there are no additional changes or timeline, would take place at the April 20th Board of Supervisors meeting. Again, it'll be a public hearing and condition of possible adoption. What this process would entail is, assuming the board moves through this process and we adopt it sometime in April, that this will now go to voter referendum at the November general election. So it's up to the public to vote on these changes. So obviously between now and that time, we'll have a lot of public information, public input along the way. Assuming we approve it, it'll then be on for the general election date. So a lot of work to do. We want to hear back from the public as much as possible, and hopefully we'll be able to make some changes to the charter. So happy to answer any specific questions, and it's all the documents there for your feedback.
No, thank you, Mr. Warden. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? I just want to thank everyone who worked really hard on the committee to make the changes we made to this. I think it was a very detailed legal piece of work that people did, and people took their responsibilities very seriously, and I think we have a very good product. I hope that, I'm sure there'll be changes that come from the public of things we didn't read properly, but really, I think this is a good change for our township, so thanks. Now we need a motion to approve escrow release number 2, the final release for Delaware Valley Friends School Phase 1B in the amount of $50,647.75. Balance remaining $0. Mr. Burgo.
Chairman Miller and members of the board, escrow release today is a final for Delaware Valley Friends School. They have completed the Phase 1B portion of the project, and this release includes items for landscaping, some as-built survey, contingency, and some inspection costs. We are recommending the board release that full amount tonight, and that will end the Phase 1B portion of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Burgo. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve a temporary easement for construction between Chester County and Tredyffrin Township for Chester County Bridge number 167, parcel 1. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to refer to Mr. Burgo for the specifics on the actual extent of the work, but the county is looking to do some work to a bridge that they own in the township, and in lieu of a condemnation, they are offering a temporary easement for the construction work on that property, for a small sum of $500. We had actually spent multiple months going back and forth on a seemingly very easy document. Where we were not willing to bend was we wanted the county to name the township as an additional insured on its policy in case something was to go wrong. Fairly standard. We do it all the time with our contractors, well, nothing's easy in county. It had to go up several times and get authorization. So it wasn't until just at the end of last week that change was finally made. So we're in a position now to recommend the approval of the easement language that's in front of you tonight, since we now have that put in the document.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
You're a second?
Second.
Any board comments or questions? Mr. Burgo, do you want to just tell the public where this bridge actually is?
Yes, the county owns actually 2 bridges on Mill Road, so this is actually the second from Duportail Road. This is the truss bridge, the narrow truss bridge with the stop signs on both ends. It's 1 lane. They will be proposing to knock that bridge down, remove it. I think they are trying to repurpose those trusses, the last we had heard from them, but they are going to replace it with a 2-lane section, so you won't have to stop and allow 1 lanes through there. So, but it is the one over Valley Creek itself. It's not the one closest to the park right out here. The Stone Arch Bridge is a future project for the county as well.
No, this is still a big upgrade for Mill Road. It's a good project. Any board comments or questions? Public comments or questions? Sure.
Steve, can you tell us how long Mill Road would be closed? What's the plan for that?
The township doesn't have the full details yet from the county. They're still in the early stages of design work on the bridge, but they will plan on closing it. I can tell you it will be longer than a township closure for one of our bridges. It certainly will be. So I would think it will be out for, probably in the nature of 8 months to a year, probably when they do it. Yeah.
8 months. Wow.
But I mean, they have a detour plan. They are going to basically detour traffic using Yellow Springs Road to North Valley back to Sweetsford. It's using the state routes around the area.
Yeah, no, the detour plan is not great. I realize that, but this is a bridge that we really need to get updated. So I think it's an important project. Any other public comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adopt Joint Resolution 2025-22 for Easttown and Tredyffrin Townships to approve an intermunicipal agreement to establish the Tredyffrin Easttown Fire Commission and Tredyffrin Easttown Regional Fire Department with related terms and conditions. Mr. McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure there are many who can speak to the contents of the agreement here, and not just myself, but what's before you tonight is for the approval of a joint resolution, which in itself then approves the agreement which is attached to the resolution for the creation of the Regional Fire Commission and Fire Department, essentially a joint effort between Tredyffrin and Easttown. I have just been notified by the solicitor for Easttown that Easttown met tonight and just approved it as well for the board's background. The agreement itself has many provisions. from definition of terms to the creation of the Fire Commission, who serves on the commission, and the terms, as well as jurisdiction and the powers of the commission and the department, how they will operate, as well as the commission meetings, how they will handle their budget for the department as well. Insurance provision. It also includes provisions for the fire stations, including 1485 Valley Forge Road and 23 Bridge Avenue. And then lastly, it has provisions in case one of the charter municipalities want to withdraw, or if there's a termination of the agreement for any purpose. Obviously, there's a lot more detail in that, but those are just the high-level areas that the agreement covers.
Thank you, Mr. McKenna. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah,
Second.
so basically,
Yeah,
I would,
go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to approve the agreement subject to one change, which is the definition of what the member of a fire company is. As of right now, that's open. It's subject to whatever people want to think it is. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt it subject to the addition of a definition for what a member of a fire company is.
Thank you, Bhaskar. I think that's acceptable. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Just to clarify, so that would be to approve the document tonight, but then we would come back and amend it to clarify the term of what a member of the fire company is.
Yep. I think that's the proposal.
Got it.
Do I hear a second?
So moved.
Thanks. There's a roll call vote. Well, first of all, any comments from the board?
I'll just say that this has required a ton of work over many years, and I commend everyone who's worked tirelessly, bringing together 2 townships, working with 3 fire companies to try to find ways to provide the best support for fire and emergency medical services in a changing landscape where we have reduced volunteerism and increasing financial demands. I'm very excited about this step forward and look forward to continued progress.
Thank you. Any other board comments?
I hate the term echo those comments, but so echoed, because I really do recognize the effort and hard work that the committee members went into this, and it's a lot of phone calls and back and forth, and not being on the subcommittee, but staying abreast of what was going on. It's just not easy with 2 political subdivisions and bringing these 2 parties together, so thank you for all your help.
I echo those comments, 3rd time, right here. Thank you, Julie, appreciate it. And your hard work on the committee also. And it's a historical night. People, this is another historical night. There was one in 2023 at the end when we had our first intermunicipal agreement, when we took our first baby steps after many, many months of discussion and hashing out agreements, and we've done the same here. And that was historical at that time. This is historical. This isn't often done in this godforsaken Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where you have a couple of townships get together with fire companies and try to work things out for the future. Thanks for listening, and thanks, Julie, for your comments.
Yeah, and I want to just say that this has been a lot of work on the part of a lot of people. We actually, if you do the math, we actually built the Bridge Avenue Fire Station quicker than we negotiated this agreement, just to give you some scale of the time to get this thing done. This is only the start. I mean, this creates the commission as the framework, it creates the funding mechanism and some of those mechanisms for the fire companies, but there's a lot more work that has to come down the road, because now we need to get the fire companies drawn into the program, and so there's a lot more work to be done besides just passing this agreement. So it's not like, oh, thank God this is done, but this is, as Murph and Julie and Matt have all said, this is a huge first step and a great accomplishment for the township. Thank you. Any other comments? Any public comments? Yeah, sure.
Thank you. It looks like I'm really prepared because I have a lot of paperwork here, but it's really not that prepared. Just to take a pause on that for a second, if I could have just a couple minutes of your time, I just would like to just reiterate that the hearing tonight, Paoli Fire Company is always very appreciative of the municipal contributions. That's just a huge part of our fiscal plan for the whole year. We're also grateful to the extent that you saw the importance of our volunteer program. That allows 2 volunteers to stay the night at our firehouse. Paoli, we really pride ourselves in working within the constraints that we have, funding, whatever it be. So we're always trying to do innovative ways to do this. And for those that don't know about our program, we have 4 platoons with 5 volunteer firefighters. Within that platoon, they pick 2 people to spend the night, and the other 3 have to respond from home. That provides 2 immediate needs. When we're really busy and it's not your night, you can stay home. The alarm call will be responded to. It also provides complementing the career staff. If the career staff is on an ambulance call, we can still get a truck out. Moreover, it never restricts the volunteer firefighters from not showing up. So they can still do it even though it's not their platoon. This has been a model for neighboring fire companies, and they're trying to attempt to duplicate it, but it requires over 30 volunteers to make it happen. And I'm telling you tonight that Paoli is very fortunate to have that many volunteers to be able to pull that off. In the 6 months that the policy has rolled out, has been successful, and the apparatus has been on the road faster than it ever has. Prior to Joe O'Leary's departure, he saw the effects of this program firsthand, and I think he commented to Joe and Bill about this program. Well, it reached you guys in the board, and I tell you, I'm the vice president of the board of the Paoli, and I'm also the deputy chief in the operations side. I was a little concerned in the absence of Joe that this might get swept under the rug. But this board has contributed a portion of the budgeted monies for this particular purpose, and we're going to continue the initiative through 2026. So for that, Paoli Fire Company is very, very appreciative and thankful. Back to the current discussion. Regarding page 4 of the agreement, Article 4 titled Fire Commission. Specifically under E and F, it reads, in order to avoid a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest, no current member or employee of the department or a relative of a current member or employee of the department shall be eligible for appointment to the commission. No one of the department, newly formed department, can be a member of the commission. Section F, in order to avoid a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest, no current member or employee of BFC, which is Berwyn Fire Company, Paoli, Radnor, or Malvern Fire Companies, or relative of a current member or employee of Berwyn, Paoli, Radnor, or Malvern Fire Companies shall be eligible for appointment as the director of the fire and EMS. So at first, I was kind of taken back by this verbiage. So far, there's been one fire company that's been involved in the department. And I thought this verbiage would be restricting for the strong contenders that you have right in front of you, excluding myself. I don't want the job. But I'm just saying that there are qualified people as the director or as a commissioner. Boots on the ground can relay that information. As many in the surrounding fire companies have personnel that could easily qualify for that position, I also looked at it as the other side, and I thought I should caution you and just let you, your selection to limit the fire companies to those 4 fire companies. You might as well add East Whiteland, Valley Forge, Phoenixville, Goshen, Newtown Square. If you're going to limit the 4 because you might have a person of interest within those 4, it seems very restricting, but on this side, you might as well, if you're going to restrict it, you might as well restrict it because the relationship in the career pool that everybody's working out of all these same fire companies, it's going to be hard to get somebody impartial. All that said, I'm not looking to postpone this at all. I echo it for the 4th time. I echo the work that was put into this. I'm very appreciative. But I want to caution you that I believe the position of the commission, the staff, or the 3 or 4 that form the commission, and the director of fire and EMS is going to be a very challenging role to fill. I think it can't be influenced. The next director must not only be a fire and EMS personnel, but they have to have the backing of the board without stipulations or hesitation, and therefore represent a mindset totally impartial for both townships. You know, they're going to be an integral part of the success of this. The director of fire and EMS is going to be an integral part of this getting it off the ground. I know it's budgeted for 2026, the salary's budgeted, but I just want to raise the concern, take your time. It's a big job. If we don't do it in 26, we don't do it in 26. We can still have the foundation that we're voting on tonight, but the director might be 26, 27 when we finally find the right candidate.
Yeah. Thank you. We're aware we need the right candidate. Thank you. Any other public comments?
Ray Clark. Murph said that this is a historic night, and I think it is, and I think it needs some details about exactly what is going on here. So I tried to go through the 23 agreement and the 25 agreement to come up with like a summary of what is proposed. And I'm hoping that maybe you can help me decide if, is this right? Is this list of things right or wrong, or what's going on? So we're creating a TE fire department, and that fire department will have authority over the Bowen Fire Company and will be responsible for emergency services in Bowen Fire Company's area. Bowen Fire Company is transferring to the fire department at no cost the fire station at 23 Bridge Avenue, plus all its fire and EMS assets. At the moment, the county's records show that the fire company owns 23 Bridge Avenue, even though the agreement implies that we own it, but no. And that then the fire department is going to charge the Bowen Fire Company $1 for the annual rent for the fire station and equipment, and the department will have all the operation and maintenance costs of the fire station, as opposed to the 23 agreement, which said that Bowen Fire Company worries about the inside, the fire department worries about the outside. So that's a change. Tredyffrin Township is going to continue to own 1785, if that's the right number, Valley Forge Road, and lease part of the space to Bowen Fire Company and to the fire department. So presumably that would cover the township's costs for maintaining that building, and it would somehow then all get into then the emergency services fund somehow. Bowen Fire Company will continue to operate as, quotes, a separate fire department entity. But the TE Fire Department has jurisdiction over all actions customary and appropriate to provide fire and emergency services to participating municipalities within the participating municipalities. I'm not sure. Fire and emergency services are services performed by full-time and part-time firefighters, EMTs, and/or paramedics based on the operational needs and management rights of TEFD. So it basically says that TE Fire Department is taking over the management of fire and emergency services for Bowen Fire Company's area, if I got that right. The language doesn't talk about whether it has any rights over the services performed by volunteers. I don't know if the fire department has any jurisdiction over those. And it doesn't kind of spell out who is actually employing all these people, who's signing the checks, don't really know. And it doesn't really say whether we approve staffing levels, pay, benefits, promotions, or anything like that. So right now, there's no budget for the fire department, but we've got the 200 grand of salaries in the emergency services fund. So obviously, 2026 is just to get organized and have a budget, one would think. So then we come along to next September. The fire department and Berwyn Fire Company come to the commission with proposed expenditures, presumably, and that gets refined, the commission weighs in, then comes to the townships and say, for Tredyffrin, we need 70% of this. And, well, maybe net of contributions, not sure how that's going to work. So Berwyn Fire Company is getting contributions from residents, so is that netted out of the expenses and we pay 70% of the rest? Not clear. And then the township has to figure out what it then gives to Paoli and Radnor. And there's currently a formula based on call volume. So how is all of that going to work? Is that metric going to come back? And will there be some way to measure like cost per call, have some kind of comparison between, all the fire companies that are serving us? There's an awful lot that's going on here. And I'm hoping that we get the same level of kind of public input that Mr. Martin described for the charter as we get for like how on earth all this is going to work. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hello, everybody. Happy holidays. I think Ray raised a bunch of excellent questions, and I was hopeful that we were going to actually get maybe some answers to these so that the community has some appreciation to what the structure is here and how the pieces fit together, because it still is a little bit puzzling. I have a couple of specific questions as well. First of all, this agreement is silent on any companies other than Berwyn. So Paoli is not involved in this agreement. The only place I see any reference to the Paoli Fire Company or Radnor for that matter is in the two provisions that Mr. Roby described relative to conflicts of interest. So is it true that the Paoli Fire Company will operate as it has in the past, where essentially, at least financially, where there is oversight from this new department or not oversight? It looks like they don't fall into this agreement. So that's a question. I don't know if anybody wants to respond or not, but I guess another question I have is relative to 1485 Valley Forge Road. Since that's going to be used as a facility for the newly created department, how will the capital expenditures that are made to that facility, I am aware that next year you're going to do a $70,000 to $75,000 study to find out what kind of capital expenditures might be necessary there, and how will they be allocated within the department, the new department between Tredyffrin and Easttown? Will Tredyffrin be responsible for all of those expenses, or will they be shared with Easttown to the extent that this oversight group is going to have space there? And my final question is on page 10, section H, there's reference to a pension plan. Will any of the employees of this department, or will any fire company employees be covered under the pension plan? It doesn't really define what pension plan that is. Will there be a newly created pension plan? But I would be interested to hear what that means. It says the annual budget shall include line items for the pension plan.
Thanks. So, as I said a few minutes ago, this is the first step in creating the framework for us to work with Easttown to create the fire commission, to create a stable funding platform for these guys, for the fire companies. I think as Mr. Robbie pointed out very accurately, we want to keep our volunteer fire companies in place and functioning as long as we possibly can and to support them as best we possibly can. And that's really the intention behind this, is to support the volunteer fire companies, to take off their plates the things we can take off their plates, to make them as effective as they can be or even more effective. That's what we're trying to do here. So I can't answer a lot of your questions because we haven't really answered them yet. I mean, ideally, we would use our formula and continue to provide money to these guys, and they would keep functioning great. We probably will end up hiring full-time staff within the fire companies and having them on the township payroll, because we think that will be more efficient and effective than just providing money to the fire companies to hire them themselves. But that may not be the right answer. So there's going to be a lot more discussion here. I don't think, we're not at the point of answering a lot of those questions. We're at the point of creating a framework so we actually have some way to start answering those questions, if that makes sense. Remember, we had a study done 2 years ago which told us a lot about some of the things we weren't doing as well as we could within the township. And now we're trying to create a framework to react to that, if that helps you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. It seems like there's not much meat on the bones as far as the public goes. I understand there's probably been conversations, and the objective I fully support. I think that, the volunteerism is the key component of this, and to the extent that we can extend that, that's very important. And it sounds like, from what Mr. Roby described, they have come up with a system that works pretty well. And so I guess part of the question I'm asking is Berwyn doesn't even fall under this agreement. Paoli doesn't they're not even mentioned in this agreement. So is it contemplated that at some point they would fall under this agreement? There's just a lot of questions that I think you might understand that we've been talking about this for a lot of time, and as Mr. Clark has pointed out, and others have pointed out at multiple meetings, there just doesn't seem to have been a lot of information, or as much information shared with the public as would be best, in my opinion. So,
well, the step we've accomplished right now is that right now, prior to us approving this, each budget cycle, Berwyn and Paoli have to go to both Tredyffrin Township and Easttown Township and plead their case to try to get their budgets. Right. I mean, that's the situation they're in today. Post this being approved, the only change that they'll feel is they only have to they only have to go to one place to get their budgets approved.
Okay.
That's one substantive change that they will feel in their operations, and I think it'll be better for them. I mean, I could ask them as a survey, do you want to go to 2 meetings or 1, right? I mean, it's like I think that will be better for them. Everything else, it really is TBD. I mean, I hate to say it, but it really is, let's walk before we run kind of thing.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
But Paoli will still have to go to
No, they won't.
They'll have to go to East San Amsterdam.
I think the intention is that this commission will provide the budget for Paoli.
Okay.
And it'll be, well, I mean, we've been, working with them pretty cooperatively. I don't think there'll be any issues here.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that you're not working with them
Yeah.
cooperatively, but I've just, they're not in this agreement, and that's part of what I think we're puzzled by. So, I guess, again, walk before you run. Maybe that's step 2 in the process.
Well, yeah, if you're asking for people who live in the western part of the township, which are serviced by Paoli, are we going to keep funding Paoli Fire Company? The answer is yes. Just don't, that's not the intention, is not to fund Paoli and have them service that part of the township they currently service. We're proud of the service they provide, and we want them to keep doing it. And we want to support them in what they're doing. So if that's kind of the background of some of these questions, that's not a worry. If that helps?
No, that's not really what I'm
Okay.
just a little, I thought that maybe, I think as it was originally presented back in 2023 when you did the study, this was all going to, all the fire companies that we deal with were going to be under one agreement, and we were going to have a fire department that was going to oversee both Paoli and Berwyn in the same way, but it just doesn't seem like that's where we are yet. And that may be in fact the case down the road.
So I think the presentation from 2 years ago really was contemplating building out a big fire department for the whole township. And we've looked at that, and we don't think that's the right answer right now, because our fire companies are functioning pretty well the way they are. So creating this commission, taking the first couple steps to support them and keeping them doing what they're doing, we think is a more cost-effective way to go than just telling Berwyn and Paoli, sorry, you're out of business and we're going to build our own fire company, because I don't think that's the right answer. And I don't think any of us think that's the right answer.
But that's a good, I mean, your answer gives me a lot more information is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So in other words, there's a different way to work with each fire company.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of figured out what works for each one as compared to saying everyone's going to be treated the same.
No. Yeah.
So that's the kind of, I think, detail that is helpful to the residents to understand what the thinking is. And certainly I don't minimize all the work that's gone into this. Believe me, I understand that and appreciate that. But it's just the more information we can have as to how this all works together, the better. So.
No, those are good questions. I didn't realize that wasn't clear. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
But our plan is to treat the fire companies, take them for what they do.
Right.
Support them in their current missions. This commission will evolve as they evolve, and we'll continue providing great service.
And understanding that they're different and the way that they operate is different.
Yeah.
So understand. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any board any other public comments? This is a roll call vote. Supervisor Humble?
Aye.
Supervisor Holt?
Aye.
Supervisor Gussie?
Aye.
Supervisor Wysocki?
Aye.
Supervisor Bhaskar?
Aye.
Supervisor Johnston Pugh?
Yes.
And I vote aye. The motion carries. Now we go to new matters.
Is there any reason why citizens matters and board new matters are reversed?
Yes. Go to citizen new matters first. Any citizen new matters?
I just wanted to make one other comment. I understand, I know this is Mr. Holtz and Mr. Wysocki's last meeting as members of the Board of Supervisors, and I just wanted to express the community's appreciation for all they've done. I know particularly Mr. Wysocki, who I served with for a couple of years. He joined the board in 2014, right after he retired from being a pretty active attorney, and I think he's probably spent more hours being a township supervisor than he did as an attorney, and he's probably made a little less money as a township supervisor than he made as an attorney. But I think that having worked with him for a long time, both together and sort of crossing paths in the community, I think that the community does owe him a big debt of gratitude. He's worked really hard, and he's given it everything he has, and he has a lot of wisdom and smarts and good humor, and so I wanted to be one resident who thanked him for his service to the community. Thank you, Murph.
Thank you.
Hello, I just wanted to echo those comments and say, Matt and Murph, I have learnt so much from you. I hear so much about what's going on in the township from the comments that you make. I think you speak your truth. I really appreciate that. I wish you the very best of luck and happy holidays. Thank you.
So this is a bittersweet night. Matt, thank you for all you've done. I'll say, even when we didn't agree on things, I think it was great. You brought great issues, and I think no one can argue with the fact that everything you were doing, was for what you thought was the best for not only the residents, but also the workers of the township, and it was very much appreciated. Murph, I'm not going to say as nice things as Mr. Hebert did. So I don't even know what to say. It's I really just want to thank you for 12 years of 24-hour, 24/7 commitment to this township. It's greatly appreciated. It was a pleasure working with you. You did some great things for this community, and just really wanted to thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I have to say something right now. I'll have a few more words later, but for Mark, we were elected together in 2013 to start our terms in 2014, and that was a watershed kind of election, and it was just great running with you and being elected with you and serving on the board with you, and I do remember those early morning phone calls. Those early morning phone calls, we were trying to figure things out. There was only two of us, so we didn't have a sunshine issue. But I just had to mention that while it was on my mind. I didn't want to get into that later, but you were there, and I thank you. I thank you for your kind words. So
Thanks, Murph. And I will say that on those calls, I had about a 50-minute ride to work. All I had to do was say, "Hi, Murph," and then usually that was the last word I had, and then the conversation ended when I pulled into the parking lot.
So I think we'd like to keep these comments positive if we can, please.
On behalf of the Environmental Advisory Council, Supervisor Holt, Supervisor Visaki, we thank you so much for working with us over the past few years with the Stormwater Task Force and the Woodland Ordinance and all the phone calls and all the assistance and help that you provided. And it's been lots of fun, and you've provided so much insight and good humor. So thanks a lot for both of you, and best of luck.
Really nothing more to say to commend Murph, but I do want to point to Supervisor Holt's championing of the Arts Commission, which seems like a really off-the-wall thing, but it is so great. And so thank you for making that happen.
Well, Matt, Murph, thanks for everything you've done for the community. Thank you both for your support of me. Matt, we did a decent amount of conversations, but nowhere near the amount of conversation I had with Murph over the years. With Lois yelling in the background, dinner's ready, or we need to go somewhere, and he's talking to me on the phone about something, typically the fire company stuff. But yeah, as already been stated, you guys have put a ton of effort in. You both have families. You're both very dedicated to this community. That's not lost on me or really anybody, especially the folks that come to most of these meetings. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Mr. Chairman, you have someone virtually also? Go ahead, Mr. Coonan.
Mr. Coonan.
Mr. Coonan, can we hear you? We can't hear you.
No. That's Mr. Coonan.
Any other public comments?
Oh.
Chief Beatty, I think you had some comments you wanted to make first, and then we'll go with board comments.
Well, I appreciate the time, and I echo the public comments, but we really can't thank you from the police department. I'd like to thank Supervisor Wysocki, Supervisor Holt. The relationship that the chief of police superintendent has with the board is access, information, partnership, to try and put the best product on the street that we can. I can tell you, Mr. Wysocki, Mr. Holt held us to task. It's not carte blanche what we get. We have to go in and justify and work with them, but deliver the services to the community. We can't do our job without the support of the board. I say that all the time. And the predecessors here, and Mr. Freed, it's a legacy. You know how hard it is to do this job. It's demanding. But I appreciate the guidance that you provided to me for this community. I had some experience being a chief, but I wasn't a chief in this area. And you gave me the confidence and the information to do my job here in Tredyffrin in a better fashion. And I can't thank you enough. So I'd like to present each of you with a plaque from the police department. I don't want to hold up your time. I know you're going to have a couple of comments. But in appreciation of your 12 years of service, Mr. Wysocki, to the citizens of Tredyffrin Township, and your unwavering support and friendship to the members of the Tredyffrin Township Police Department, I'll be presenting you with this plaque.
Yeah.
And same thing for Mr. Holt. Again, for your dedication and support, and your unwavering support for us. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you've done for the community and for me.
Yay!
Well, I'm gonna go first. I'm chair. I think I get some benefits here and there. So I'm gonna go first, if that's okay. So we have two supervisors retiring today, as everyone knows. They're gonna be missed. I mean, Murph Wysocki has served Tredyffrin Township for 12 years. That's 3 terms. Matt Holt isn't far behind, 8 years, 2 terms. These men have volunteered a significant portion of their lives and brought their considerable talents and legal training to serve the residents of Tredyffrin Township. And the people have implied it, but for every hour you see us up here, there's probably 10 hours that occur outside of this building. Murph and Matt have put in the time it takes to be effective supervisors. I mean, they put in that time. It's not lost on it. It shouldn't be lost on anybody, and their families, I'm sure, felt it. These guys have presided over some of the most transformational changes in our township in recent memory. And yes, I'm aware the Valley Forge encampment occurred here, so let's just go with it, though, if that's okay. We passed a stormwater tax to begin addressing our infrastructure issues. We passed an emergency services tax to properly fund and equip our first responders. We created a new fire station on Valley Forge Road. We created it, that was a Boy Scout building. We bought the thing and put a fire station there. Replaced an almost 100-year-old station on Bridge Avenue, and just tonight we approved an agreement with Easttown to form the TE Fire Commission, which will, as we've talked about, will start to build the infrastructure going forward. We also added a new park to the township. These are big changes that will serve us, the residents, for years to come and position our township to continue to be an incredibly attractive place to live and work. Matt was first elected in 2017, and he ran again in 2021. Has served on liaison to the Historic Commission, Municipal Authority, Park and Rec, and the Library Board. Served on the Paley Train Station Center Task Force. He founded the Arts Commission. I mean, that Arts Commission, as someone just said, wouldn't exist without Matt's really pushing that forward. I mean, that's a big thing for the township. He served on the Personnel Committee, he was liaison to zoning, and he serves on liaison to the school board. Matt was the driving force behind the holiday tree lighting celebration, which just seems like a little thing, but is a big thing for building community inside the township. And he's been one of the voices behind keeping the libraries open 7 days a week. As we've discussed, next year we will spend a lot of time and energy creating a plan for the future of our libraries. You don't see it in the public meetings, but Matt has been relentless in pushing to upgrade both our libraries and has brought several really interesting ideas. I mean, you talked a little bit about the hardware. Matt's voice is going to be missed. Murph was first elected in 2013, re-elected in 2017 and 2021, served as liaison to the Historic, I'm going to basically list all the commissions there are in the township here. As liaison to the Historic Commission, the Library Board, the Pension Trustees, the Planning Commission, the Zoning Hearing Board, Traffic Committee, and the Library Foundation. He served on Development, Finance, and Personnel Subcommittees. He served on the Paley Train Center Task Force, served as Fire Company and Police Liaison, served on the Charter Rewrite and the Reapportionment Subcommittees, and served as Vice Chair and then Chair. Oh, Matt was also Vice Chair, by the way, which I forgot to mention. That's just a list of his titles. It's really hard to express how important Murph is to actually getting things done in our township. Without Murph, the agreement we just approved to create the TE Fire Commission doesn't happen, or at least certainly doesn't happen tonight. I mean, seriously, he was that important. Murph is the first person to support purchasing the property on Valley Forge Road for the substation. And to be clear, adding that location has for surely saved lives. On a personal basis, Murph is the first person I call when I think I need to think something through as chair, because I know I can count on him for calm, reasoned advice, and usually a good Phillies or an Eagles story. I want to thank both Murph and Matt for being mentors to me personally when I ran in 2021. They met with me before I chose to run to make sure I understood the role, and we met as a campaign team regularly during the election season to coordinate strategy, produce materials, respond to the latest provocation from the Republicans. I consider both of you friends, and I'm still going to call you for advice. So thank you.
All right, a lot has already been said, but I would like to also briefly add my thanks and say a few words about both Murph and Matt, and I'll try not to get too emotional. As we say goodbye to Murph tonight, it's hard not to feel this as a loss for the board, for the township, and for me personally. Murph was a big part of the reason I decided to run for this board. His judgment and commitment to doing the work well have shaped how we work together and the tone of this board, and I will truly miss him and his sense of humor. Murph has brought a long-term view to the board's work. He consistently focused on making decisions that would stand the test of time, particularly when it came to the township's financial health, such as the 2019 bond issuance and infrastructure. He also worked closely with our fire company partners to address longstanding funding challenges, and his early support for strengthening police staffing has made a lasting difference. Murch approached every issue the same way, by asking thoughtful questions, demonstrating an impressive ability to both listen and talk at length, and keeping residents at the center of every decision. Murph, your departure leaves a gap that will be felt. Things simply won't be the same without you. Thank you for your years of service, for your friendship, and for the example you've set. I also very much want to thank Matt Holt for his service to the township and to this board. Since joining the board in 2018, Matt has been a thoughtful presence through lots of change on the board, politically and otherwise. His support for our libraries and community services has made a real difference, and we've greatly appreciated his perspective on the board as a lawyer. In all matters, Matt has consistently been a strong voice for actions that serve all our residents. Matt, I will miss sitting next to you on the dais. You were never afraid to share your perspective, even when it wasn't the popular one, and that honestly made our discussions stronger. So to both of you, thank you for your dedication, your mentorship, and your service to Tredyffrin Township. You will be dearly missed, and we wish you nothing but the best going forward.
So, I don't have a whole lot of eloquence to add to what has already been expressed. I'll just say a few words. So one, when I was elected to the board in 2019, I won the election, and then it was like, so what? It was kind of like being thrown in the deep end of the pool, because I didn't really have a lot of understanding of how things worked, inside the township. And I want to thank Murph for mentoring me. He actually had, there were three of us elected for the first time that year. Sharon, Julie, and me, and Murph had us over for lunch and kind of got us started on the orientation process. And I know that, at least for me, Murph was a mentor in terms of just how things work. And I also, one thing that's overlooked is the fact that right after that election, there was this small issue of the pandemic, and some of you may have forgotten that, but Murph basically was the chair of the board through the pandemic and kind of, helped to keep things running, because that's also a time when, even though a lot of things have been shut down, the services to the public need to continue. So, I want to thank Murph for that. At the personal level, of course, Murph will never miss an opportunity to use 15 words when 12 will suffice, but that's fine. Also, Matt was someone who, again, I met him for lunch one day before I actually got onto the board, and he briefed me on some of the issues that, that face the township. He was the first one that made me aware of the fact that in terms of living in the township, there's an affordability issue. I asked what percentage of the staff actually live in the township, and it turns out it's not a very large percentage. And part of that is because, there were people that actually grew up in the township that then, went to live elsewhere. Matt has always been passionate. I can't think of anyone on the board that is more passionate about the issues, and I know that at times he's been really, he does not hide his thoughts is probably the best way to put it. So I really appreciate all of the things that you've done to educate me, and it's been a privilege working with both of you over the years.
I get to skate last, I guess. I just want to thank Murph and Matt for their service as well. I've known Murph before he was elected to the board, and he was always very wise then and very helpful and very fun. And one of the first times I addressed the board about an issue that was concerning in 2017, the very next day Murph called me on the phone about it. And I was so shocked because nobody from the township had ever called me before about any issue I'd ever, brought before them. So I found that remarkable, and I was very grateful for that, and it gave me a lot of hope for how things were going to continue to go with the board. And Murph has continued to be available and always add his 2 cents worth. And sometimes he has a different perspective, and I find that to be very valuable as well. I do think we need to look at things from all different sides. And I have really enjoyed sitting next to Matt during this latest term. He's very helpful. I always like to get his 2 cents and his perspective on what's happening. And I very much appreciate him pushing forward for our Arts Commission. And I look forward to what the commission's going to do going into 2026. The art show that we had this fall was a big success, very welcome. And so I look forward for what more they can do. So thank you very much, Matt, for all you have done. And we hope you'll come around more like Mike Heberger does and still continue to address the board. Thank you.
Carlotta, I think Carlotta has her hand up. You're a panelist, Carlotta. You can certainly jump in anytime.
Well, I'm last but not least, I'm the new kid on the block. So I've got a couple things to say. Matt, I am going to miss you. We've had some great conversations in the 2 years that I've been there. I hope we continue to have the conversations. Even though you won't be sitting up there with me, I think that you have been a great asset for me because you helped me think things through. And I hope that we can continue to have conversations and some of the things that we've talked about, I'm going to try to continue, especially with the Art Commission. That was, our baby, and we got it off the ground, and I want to keep it going, and I hope that you come around to, lend your 2 cents in with that. Murph, there's really not anything I can say. I've known you way before you got on the board, when we all hung out at E5. You're one of the reasons why I ran to get on that board. And I appreciate the conversations that we have had. No, we don't agree on everything, and I think that's what makes it work, is that we can agree to disagree and have great conversations and try to come to a common ground. And that in this day and climate, on the political scale, that doesn't always happen. I appreciate that you do listen to what I have to say. I listen to what you have to say, and I do hope that we can continue to have these conversations, even if you're not on the board. And you can still tell Lois, those cookies are still wonderful, and so if she wants to make a batch, you can just bring them over during the board meeting, and we can have cookies too.
I definitely want to leave Murph the last word. So if I can just briefly say, I'm absolutely passionate of my appreciation for all the words and thoughts that everybody shared here today. It's quite moving. So big thank you to everyone. 8 years on this board has been a true privilege, and I'm very grateful to the residents of Tredyffrin Township for the opportunity to serve. I'm also extraordinarily appreciative of all the TT Dems, especially Kathleen Keohane and Hans van Mol, for their energy and passion, for my fellow board members, past and present, for their dedication, support, and collaboration. And of course, my family, Lauren, Truman, and Quincy, for their encouragement, love, and patience. The staff at Tredyffrin Township here at HQ, in the libraries, down at Public Works, in our police department, together with the fire and EMS folks, are all remarkable. They go above and beyond. They really care about residents and are true public servants. I hope they all wear that title with pride. Serving the public is a wonderful vocation and something to aspire to. In fact, whenever someone shrugs their shoulders about politics and government, or say it's too angry and too tribal or too disheartening, I hope we can always point to local government. There you can see your neighbors coming together to work out problems in a spirit of consensus, compromise, and good faith. I hope more folks become involved in our township. It's a wonderful place to find community. And it's the volunteers and residents that matter and keep the township moving forward. All the credit and success belongs to them. Politicians easily grab the credit, but it's these folks in this room that make it happen. Otherwise, I greatly look forward to welcoming our new supervisors and our 2026 board to continue thinking on the big ideas, our most important values, and continue to make Tredyffrin a great place to live. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt, for your beautiful words, really. Thanks, everyone, for your kind words. I'm really touched. I promised Chief Beatty that I would keep it short. It's written right here in the plaque. No, and I will. Good evening. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve Tredyffrin Township and our residents as member of the Board of Supervisors for the past 12 years. I'm grateful for everyone I have worked with during my years as a supervisor. Here are but a few of the many for whom my words tonight are my note of gratitude. First, past and present supervisors who sought and today continue to seek a better Tredyffrin for all. Second, our dedicated township staff, senior staff and members of all departments who every day keep our township moving forward and at the forefront of townships in this region. Third, our first responders from the Tredyffrin Township Police Department and the Paoli, Berwyn, and Radnor Fire Companies and emergency medical teams, all who keep us safe and respond with speed, compassion, and care when we are in need. And of course, I express my gratitude to our residents. They are the bedrock of our Tredyffrin community. Our residents challenge us when we need challenging and support us when we've earned their support. Through their volunteer efforts, residents also energize the many boards, commissions, committees, and task forces contributing to our township's success. I offer a special thank you to our township's residents. So where are we today? Thanks to the efforts of everyone working for a better Tredyffrin community, Tredyffrin Township is in a good place. Our township is sound fiscally and operationally, takes action when action is needed, and has a clear vision for the future. As for me, it has been quite a ride for the past 12 years. At the end of the day, I've been lucky to be in the right place at the right time. I wish Tredyffrin Township continued good fortune and an even brighter future. Thank you all, and be well.
Well, Matt and Murph, I know this sounds like goodbye, but as Mark Freed can attest, we never let you go. We just bring you back for other projects. So don't think we're not like deleting your phone numbers or anything, guys. So we will. You know, I think I said my first thing I would be calling you. That was a promise. So we do have some gifts for you guys, though. So Matt, I'm not going to shake your hand because I'm sick.
Could you guys come down to the front? We'll take a quick photo.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, let's go out front. All right. He wants to go out front with Matt, and then you guys. Do you want me to hand it to Matt for the photo, or you want me to get one?
You guys want to stand up?
Yeah, we'll stand back. Come right, so you're like.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.